I still get butterflies when it's coming in. The tugs there, or the light handlers there? What about the weather, the wind? You know, my main concern, I want to get it docked, into the port and docked.
The ship was supposed to arrive about 2 a.m. this morning because of the heavy fog. They put her out on the hook and brought her in this morning about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Normally, I'd like to be here when the ship arrives to get them spotted properly for discharging. When she's going to come in late like that, I'll leave that up to the line handlers and the agents. I inform them exactly where I want the ship spotted. All that communication was done the day before.
We are an extension of the owner, and everything that the ship does has to come through our office first, and then we okay it or don't okay it. See, that number 4 hat is we have right here now. When he docks, naturally I'm talking to the pier superintendent, so I know that he's got his area of work covered. I'll go on the ship, go up to the master, introduce myself as his representative and so on, which he knows, and then I'll tell him what the plan for that day will be. I check all of the paperwork that we have to do, collect the manifest, collect his papers for the custom house, collect his documents, shipping documents, and then he'll have questions for me. He might have men for the doctor, and I'll have to arrange that for him. He'll be looking naturally for the ship chandler to buy groceries, and usually the ship chandler is there when we come up together.
Is any of this an emergency, or
No.
you want to bring it down Monday?
No, you can make it everything on Monday.
Okay.
It's fine, so you
Sure.
have enough time to,
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna go ask the chief mate a couple of questions,
Also chief engineer.
and also the chief engineer, and then I'll come back and I'll get that box. Steve's got questions for you, I'm sure. Okay, thanks, Captain.
Okay.
I'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm going to climb up on the hatch here now. What I got to do here now is determine what lift truck to put into the hold by the size of the coil. Danny, let's rig up Little Red for number 4 hold. Tim Rogers?
Yeah, Russ?
Yeah, listen now, when the guys come out, I want them to help Russ and Tommy hook up lift trucks, Paul, Timmy.
Will do.
The activities are not always the same. There's a big variety here. You could be loading a grain ship one day. You could be loading general cargo. You could be working in the warehouse, unloading box cars. There's a big variety of things to do down here, and I think that helps us out a lot. Our tonnage rate has increased considerably down here, and we average anywhere from, on coils, from 25 up as high as 30 lifts per hour. So based upon that, we had 112 coils in number 2 hole, 117 coils in number 4 hole. So we're looking at shortly after dinner of completion of the coils, and then we'll sweep the holes, take all of the debris out, and make it suitable for grain ready. Then there'll be an inspector that'll come down, and he will do his inspection to make sure that the holes are clean, dry, and suitable for the grain cargoes. It's just a matter now of when the ship gets completed, all the coils are checked when they come in. Look for any damage on the coils, make sure that everything's noted. These coils are all coming in from France. They're for Keeler steel, and there is about 19 different sizes in different gauges, thicknesses, and lengths. And then what Keeler does is they will call for them on a daily basis of what coils they want. And then we'll take the coil, take the outer wrapper off for them, and then load it on a truck where it's trucked down to Minneapolis.
It has to be cleaned out. So what they're doing now is they'll sweep out the holes, and it has to. The cleanliness is the biggest thing when you're running between 2 different types of cargoes. It's to keep the holes clean, and that's the hardest thing to do. Well, it's all bulk cargoes, of course, and this one can go to Halifax on the east coast of Canada. That's where we went last trip. Her main run is Thunder Bay, Duluth, Duluth to Nanticoke, with iron ore from Duluth here to Stelco Steel in Nanticoke. Here, there's a crew of 27 on this one, and okay. Head chip. When you have a good crew, it makes a difference when the crew works together.
Still about 50 feet off the red buoy now at forward in a 5-hole.
You'll find sometimes you get on some ships and the crew just doesn't seem to be in sync. And here, I was on the Tadoussac before I came here, and both ships, the crew seemed to be in sync and be able to do the job and do it well. And it makes your job easier, knowing that you've got a good crew to help you with it. This corner here is probably about the worst one in the whole harbor. And it's harder coming out than, of course, when you're loaded than when you're coming in. Well, in the dark, of course, it makes it a little bit different. But in the fog, it'd be quite a hairy experience. Most of those 1,000-footers there, they turn here and back up into the Midwest Energy Slip. This is the telegraph. What I'll do is put it to how many revs I want the engine to turn at. Here it tells me how many revs it's actually turning at. And you have somebody down at the controls down in the engine room who actually opens the valves. And the only problem with this is that you're relying on somebody else to do the same moves you are making up here. So you have to be very cautious and watch it quite a bit. The center of the Paul Artagertha, or where the loading rig is. I got to slow down a little bit more here so we don't pull that big guy off the dock. It's not so bad when you're light ship like this, when you're in ballast. It's when you're loaded and you have any speed on, you'll pull the other fellow right off the dock.
The unloading system here, it's all radio control. He is handling 5 belts, the plow feeders, which directs the coal onto the belts.
It's a variable speed. We can, as we get towards the end of the hatch, we can lower the rate down. But maximum is around 11,200 ton an hour.
Main thing at this point of the load is just keeping track of the tonnage as we go and ensuring that the ballast water is taken out at the proper time.
You can see over the sign there right now, we've got 29,280 or 293 on board. He's got 3,912 in his hatch so far. He's loading at 10.9, 10.8. That's 11,000 an hour. He's running 100%. Pretty good, Kim, pretty good. Yeah, the Paul out to Gertha is the biggest laker. We're 1,013.5 feet long, 105-foot beam. She was built in 1981. What's it like? It's just a little bit bigger than a sports car. They handle good. We have twin screws engines, or we got 2 engines on here, bow thruster. She handles good. She handles real good. We've been hauling coal on here, since about 1985 or 6. That's our main cargo right now is coal, hauling from here down to St. Clair, Michigan. We leave here, it's about 5.5 days for a round trip. That's including loading and unloading.
First mate will come out for about the last hour of the load and trim the vessel its maximum draft for passage through Sault Ste. Marie, and ensure that the vessel's in proper trim, that we're not down by the head. It means the bow is deeper than the stern, and also ensure the vessel doesn't have an excessive sag or hog.
That's what they call the trim chute.
Average load, last trip here we had 66,300 tons. The trip before we were 66,600. Our limiting factor is the water level in the St. Mary's River. So this trip we can load to a maximum draft of 27 feet 9 inches, and that's considered a safe draft by the company for passage through the river. For every inch of draft on a vessel this size, you can gain approximately 237 tons of cargo. So a couple inches either way, and you spread that out over the course of the season, you're talking significant tonnage over the course of the year.
Good, Chip. Steady up on the corner of the dock there, yeah. Weather is the biggest thing. I've seen myself come into this dock here on the chute dock, and midship, where you have to have you've only got like 8 inches clearance, or else you'll knock chutes down on the dock. And where I've had to, the only place you can land your crew members to tie up is right on the end of the pier. And we were off at such a bad angle that I had to I landed the fellas, but then I had to back away and then do a second try at it because of the wind. Yeah, Eric, let me know when their stern's inside the corner here, once we get inside that corner of the ship loader's dock.
Okay. 35, port. Port now. 12 port now, and 25 off the corner to support the midship. And the boys are going ashore.
You really got to have a lot of faith in that guy lowering it down. Actually, one time I got lowered on top of a fence, barbed wire fence one time. The main thing is to get the guys out on the dock so that, if we do have to get the wires on quickly, then they're there, so we're right on top of it. You've got to be careful. I mean, obviously, you get a guy on the boom and you're on that landing boom and you're going to slack it down. You got to watch it. Just, as I call it, the demon drop. clear, fellas.
Okay, that's doing going on the beam.
Now inside the drain.
Staying right up all the way along. Yeah, right up.
Eventually, we're going to have to shift the boat back. I mean, you know, to get loaded in different position. So we might as well just, you know, put as many lines out as we can. You know, put as many bites on as we can, so that all we have to do is just take them off as we shift back. It's just a little bit easier. I'm just raising the boom up here so I can get it out of the road so they can bring the hatch crane back, and we'll open up these hatches back here. Once we get those off, then we'll be able to drop these chutes down and hopefully start loading. So. We're talking to the foreman up there too. We're letting him know, yeah, okay, drop number 26, drop 24, whatever.
Hi Chief, how are you? How are you doing, sir?
Good morning.
We come as a boarding party as such, like agent, myself, USDA, and we first go to captain, introduce ourselves, and get down to paperwork.
Thank you, my last one.
And our major involvement is safety. Basically, we are looking after the safety. Everything depends upon the distribution. If distribution is not proper and everything goes wrong, so we make sure that pre-plan is quite realistic. What is going to transpire is more or less reflected. She's 12 years old. For her age, she's very well kept, nice and clean, and the holes contain some rust, but they are surface rust. It's not loose, so well maintained. She's really in good shape.
We're looking for trash on the deck, that type of stuff. What they do with how they store their trash. The big concerns, if they have wind, blow it right off the deck in the lakes, and then becomes a pollution that way. And so we'll just kind of generally show you what we do, and then we'll go head up and talk to the captain. I like the newer ones, they've got elevators. Morning. Is Captain around? Captain, do you have the Coast Guard's last boarding form that they left with you? Captain, we're going to do a nav safety. We're going to check your certificates and your charts. So if we get someone to go up on the bridge. Okay. Okay.
I need to see these charts.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to need to see the radars, so if they're not warmed up, you might want to warm them up first.
Okay, no problem. I make you see all the charts, what you need.
Okay, 6-0 is no longer valid. Okay, we'll let Ed know, and he'll get you a new one.
Okay.
That's no problem. Your echo depth sounder. Could you turn that on for me, please?
Don't switch it on.
In every port, it's the same thing. I should say I'm getting used to it.
We aren't sure yet.
Well, first, it is a regulation, in U.S. Coast Guard regulation, and in my opinion, it is also helping us in case we made some mistake. They can check it, and they can correct, and then it's at the end, as you say, at the bottom line, it is also for the safety of the vessel.
gonna start back here then, did you say, Mike?
She started by herself, so may as well just keep her coming.
This is cream of the crop. A day like today, it's beautiful.
Stern's coming to the corner now, and she's up against all along.
Bad day, 35 knot wind, the rain, fog. The ice, when ice starts, that's another hindrance. So today is ideal. Back in the beginning, all they had was the compass. Now we've got radar, and we've got LORAN, we've got GPS. So it's all state of the art.
Okay, you're gonna start her around now, huh? Hard port.
Started out as a deckhand and engineer, and then went into the pilot house, went out to school and got my license, and got into the pilot house in '84. You got to judge it where meet, and don't want to meet them on the turn.
Yeah, the globe now.
Okay, got the line up here now. Don't want to meet them on the turn. Best is out there in the harbor, right here in the East Gate, like we did. The other tug now is going to be coming around and being up on this side. We'll pull the stern up around the next turn here, while we bring the bow around the corner. He'll lift the stern around.
I'll set back here again, Mike.
Yeah, she's creeping to port a little bit here.
Okay, Mike, that's fine.
The pilot, the master of the ship, and then we all work together, so that things don't go wrong,
Yeah, about 3 degrees will be heading on the end of the cold dock.
Okay. See, as he's telling me what's he seeing, that gives us all an idea of what the boat is doing. If we're going too fast, if we need him to back it up, so we, slow him down.
Seeing the end of Great Northern now.
Oh, okay, middle of the face out here. Swinging quite lively. We'll get just up to past this red nun here, and then start making her. Okay. A little bit more, and I'll be up to the red nun. When it gets touchy is when we start getting closer to the corner. We want to make sure that the bow is swung clear of the corner. Got about 300 feet yet to the corner from your stem. I'll bring the bow in, and Dean brings his stern over, and then we bring the boat kind of sideways.
You have a 25 ton to go in number 19 shuttle. Just take a couple minutes, then you can go ahead and shift. They'll send up or fax a loading list up and what exactly he wants in each hatch, and we just correspond the hatch to the shuttle that it lines up with. Punch in the numbers on the scale, how much ever he wants in each one. Run the shuttles out to line up over the hatches and start the belt. The shuttles run about 1,200 tons an hour each, so if you're running all 18 shuttles, you can run 22,000 tons of ore. These are long tons per hour. 21,000 tons would be 1.5 train loads of ore cars hauling 100 tons each, 160 car trains. Would be 1.5 trains per hour. The top set of buttons is used to extend or retract the shuttles. This set is for starting the conveyor belts. We're only using these two right now. And this is for the west side arc gates that are underneath the west bins, silos, and this is for the east side ones. And so we don't open up the wrong ones at the wrong time and load National into a hip-tack boat. There's a selector switch right there that locks out the east side ones so they cannot be opened. One half of the silos is hip-tack and the other set is National. This here keeps track of all the ore coming into the dock and going out of the dock at the same time. It'll tell you how much is into the ship right now, how much is left in the dock right now. This side will show the National side, and of course nothing loaded, 5,800 tons in the dock. It'll also tell you how much is in each shuttle. Right now there's 246 tons in bin number 20. It also is keeping track of number 20, which I'm loading right now and filling right now at the same time, so it's pretty amazing. Hello, mate.
Hello.
That's all of it. You can go ahead and shift number 21 under 20 belt.
21 under 20, okay.
Your first run came out right. You have 14,325 tons on board right now.
That's pretty close to perfect.
Thank you. I've been here since the dock opened in 1977, so you get a chance to know these people and develop a rapport with them. I enjoy it. It's interesting. I like loading the boats and get a nice view. The whole harbor and all the sunsets.
You can't put too much in the middle because you'll take a belly in her. It's just they're that light in the middle, and they're like very tender forward. What I mean by tender, you can't put too much cargo up there. Most of it's spread out in after half the kit. All the docks now are all straightforward. They're all built for speed. They can load you in 4 or 5 hours. Like they've hold records of over in Duluth docks, like 60,000 ton in 4 hours. That's a lot of tonnage, you know. And I guess they're proud of it too, because I've got it up in big signs, you know. I started sailing 1958. I went to sea school in England, to a place called Vindicatrix, and then I went to I sailed with I sailed with Cunard first, and then I sailed with P&O, Pacific and Orient, and then I decided to come over here. Whenever you leave home when you're 15, what difference does it make? You've been all around the world. I'd been all around the world before I was 20, so a couple of times.
Would you recommend it to your kids?
No. No.
Why not?
Because you miss, like, if you're married and you got kids, it's too short. Life's too short because you miss a lot of them growing up. There is a lot of breakups in marriages, but you got to have the right person, to get married to, to understand what kind of a business you're in, you know. It's just like a traveling salesman. He's never at home either. Well, what can you do? That's just the business you're in.
your gangway in about 20 minutes.
It's always excited, even after 40 years. It's exciting, but the part I enjoy the most is meeting the people. These people are coming from all over the world.
Captain?
How are you?
Very good, sir. Very good. Got the anchor up?
Yeah, he's just hitting up about
Okay.
second is coming up now.
Everything working good, huh? Security call to Federal Fraser. Inbound Duluth-Superior in 15 minutes. We'll be berthing at Harvest 1 in Superior. Federal Fraser to the Tug, Vermont.
Hello there, Nick. I heard your security call there, and we'll meet you down there at the entry.
Midship.
The responsibility of the pilots really is to get the vessel from point A to point B as quickly and safely as possible.
Starboard 10.
The aerial bridge is actually very dangerous. There's, for example, if you have a heavy rain a day or two before, you have current coming out of the St. Louis River through the harbor. If you had a good northeast wind a couple of days before that, you still have current coming from the northeast, and sometimes you have a couple of different currents involved.
Starboard 10.
Duluth is all right, but now this time short is, the time is so short that we really, here we will be here for 2 days now. And today they are not working, but sometimes you come and you start work immediately, and within a day or so you're out. It has got its own ups and downs, but I love it because that's why I've been here for 26 years now. And I think another 10 years maybe, or 15 years if all goes well.
We got the tow line here, we're all hooked up.
All hooked up. Okay, Dean, thank you.
This pigeon joined ship in English Channel. That was about 1 month back. There are 3 of them, and 2 of them have just flown away, but this one is not going. And I think now I don't think he's going to go away. Maybe when we go back to Antwerp, that's where he will.
Okay, Dean, we're gonna go in a little bit.
And we have to work together with the tug captain is very, very important. And the more you work with the same ones, the easier it is. The Port of Duluth tug captains are the best I've seen in 40 years. When making a berth, for example, you'll hear us talking about, this building and that building are in line, the middle of the bridge is lining up, the ranges are lined up, and the north side of the dock is opening up, and we're talking about different marks. And the reason we use these landmarks is because they're stationary and the same all the time. So we try to do it the same way all the time, and we don't have to worry about the building moving or anything. And of course, in fog, we have to do it by radar. Well, Harvest Estates is probably one of the most difficult berths to make. The reason is, as soon as you pass under the Blackneck Bridge, you got a 90-degree turn to the left, and you almost have to be stopped. So if you got any wind coming from the blowing off the lake, it's very difficult, and you only have a couple of ship lengths to the berth involving another 90-degree turn. And most foreign ships have no bow thruster, so this is where your best friend is your tug captain.
You all set now, George?
Set, Nick. I'm going to start picking the stern up.
Okay. Lots of room on the green buoy there, George. A good 80 feet.
Alrighty, good 80.
About 50 more feet, okay. Midship now? Hard starboard?
Here, the dust collector there.
Okay, you might be starting to close just a hair up here, down to about 45 maybe.
Yeah, okay, just stay up there and give me the distance there and I'll thrust her over.
Now we are going to pick up soybeans, 25,000 tons, and then we go to Bekuma, load another 10,000 tons, and then we go to Ghent, Belgium, discharge the cargo. After that we don't know.
Usually we're just about empty when the vessel gets here. It's pretty close. So once the boat is tied up and secured, the hoses are hooked up first on the shore side and then on the vessel side. Then the material is conveyed by air through the hoses to the top of the silos. We have one terminal employee that stays on top of the silos. It's usually about a 13-hour process to unload here. Most of the time we take about 10,000 tons here. We have a draft constriction in Duluth, so that's why the vessel always comes here first, because we have enough draft for the vessel here. And we have to take off a minimum of 5,000 tons here before we can get the vessel into Duluth.
This used to be the Leon Fraser. It was built for the Pittsburgh Steamship Company in '42, which later became U.S. Steel and now is USS Great Lakes Fleet. The way it was 640 feet, and it was too long to fit at our dock in Alpena to load, so they cut it in half and took 120 feet out of it and welded it back together, of course, and there's the way it is today. Bill there, he's the third engineer on board here, and what we were doing is we were leaving the Superior plant and coming over to Duluth. And what he was doing was operating the main engine. And of course the telegraph there was coming from the pilot house telling him what they wanted, either a head or a stern, and what speed. With the green wheel there, that's the head wheel, and that runs the turbine ahead. And of course, depending on how much you open the valve, is how fast the engine will turn. So when he wants to back up, then he has to shut that one off and open up the red wheel, and that starts the stern turbine, and she'll go the other way then, start backing down. You figure that we've got a small city here. You know, we have our own restaurant, we have our own rooms, we make our own electricity, we have our sewage plants that we take care of, and so it's just like a little city all by itself. Where we tie up here is so convenient to downtown. You know, in 5 minutes you're right up on the main street. Yeah, and of course some of the guys like to go down to the casino there and exchange money. See, it's one of a kind. It's, you know, they're starting to disappear, the old steamboats.
Now loading at the gallery of Harvest Estates is the Helena Oldendorf. As I said, this is an ocean freighter. This ship is registered out of Panama. As we get a little closer here, you'll see the Panamanian flag flying at the stern of the ship.
this is a mixed crew, you know. No, we don't have one crew ship. We have mostly mixed. Now they are starting. You are getting crew from the ex-Russian Federation and from Yugoslavia and Croatia. They are all mixed now. It's much better than when you have one nationality on board. You have less problem because they get together, you know, because one or two crew members from one country, some 7. So normally they go together.
Your name is and where you're from?
I'm Ramil Kalitis from Philippines. My friend is a Chile.
What's
South
your name?
America, Fernando.
I'm from Maldives. Maldives Island.
How long you been working on ships?
I don't know, a long time. I started 1978, this company.
And you live in Turkey?
Yes, I live in Turkey.
What city?
I see Plaksi, Trabzon. I live in there.
What's your name?
This my name? My name Usta, Seyfettin Usta.
My first time, I was 28 years ago in Duluth, and it was August. It was beautiful, fantastic. I passed all this. I was an apprentice in those days, so it was very interesting. Now it's more difficult. Yeah, it's because of the responsibility and all these things. So it's not anymore very big, great fun as it was before.
But he's helping me to understand seaman life, because a lot of people came in on ship, they are learning a different side of life, which the people normal living here, or I don't know, living ashore, they cannot feel this, probably. So that's traveling a lot of countries, you see different kind of people, different kind of cultures. I mean, when you have all these things, then you forget about hard work, you know, sometimes.
What's your name?
Alfred.
Alfred?
Yeah.
Okay. And how about your partner?
He's Ramil.
Who?
Ramil.
Ramil?
Yeah.
Aha, okay, Alfred and Ramil.
For us, this is a nice port. If we go to Algiers, it will be, well, not like a prison, you know, but every day only 2 persons are allowed to go ashore. They are being controlled by the immigration. So each day I have to give permission to only 2 crew members. They can go ashore and they have to come back at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, from 8 to 5.
As a result of traveling in salt water, you can see quite a bit of rust on this ship. They do a pretty good job of trying to keep it painted, keep up with the rust, but eventually that salt water takes its toll. Usually the lifespan of an ocean freighter is perhaps 35, 40 years at the very most if it's really well taken care of. Well, it's the crew that does a lot of the work, and you can see them hanging over the bow here. It's like they've been sanding and then priming rust spots up on the bow in preparation for painting. As we're turning here also, if you look off to our right, you'll see the stern end of a lake frame. That is...
We're loading 60,000 into 30,000 in this tank and 30,000 in that tank, and they're almost getting done filling up that tank. Okay. This is going to go to the James Barker. But first we have to deliver 20 metric tons of diesel fuel to the Helena. It's a real challenge to operate a ship this size without any bow thruster and these small little slips. He's a good captain. He's just using the 2 main engines. Fortunately, it has dual rudders and separate twin screw vessels, so they're a little bit easier to maneuver, a twin screw vessel. domestic trade, they have the operation down to science. They know exactly what to do. We don't have to get off on the dock. They take our lines. But with these guys, they don't understand English. It's kind of hard to communicate with them, so it's just better off Brian gets dropped off and goes up there and takes care of tying us off. Three of us have radios, and Brian has a radio up on the ship. He has to see the chief right away. He has to go up and get the declaration signed. We always have to face the stern because we use our boom and swing it out. And usually that's right in front of the cabin. Okay, diesel coming your way.
Okay. What's the
sample of the product? We give it to them. We keep the first one for ourselves, and then we give them this one.
This is the sample of the oil which we are receiving, because now we don't know. It's going through the black holes. Maybe they put the whiskey, or we don't know what kind. Maybe gasoline.
It just takes a long time to take care of everything because they're not used to fueling with us. It's very rare that you get the same saltwater ship more than once a year.
Shape up, one boat, Harvest Estates Gallery, John Lankford Jr. James Lankford. Jr. Ken Stringer Jr. Johnny. Robert Picard. Johnny. James Dombrowski. Johnny. James Carlson. Put me down, Jeff. George Purpich. Johnny. That's it. That's it.
Well, most of the kids most of the guys, they all grew up down the north end of town. And that's all they've done all their life is like sail on the lakes, worked in the elevators, or loaded ships. It's gonna make it. Whoa, watch it. Whoa, whoa. You know, this job here is it's a hit and a miss. Now this is the first day we worked since last Thursday. But it's a job where when you're busy, you're never home. You get done at 10 o'clock at night. You're back down the hall at 6:30, something like that, 7 o'clock. Day starts all over.
You can let her come on number 3 too.
The lake is usually a straight shot. Usually they just about fill them up. You know, maybe they might go a little bit short, but they're down to the draft. And they got 20-some hatches you got to fill up. And here these boats mostly, like these newer ones, are about 5 holes. Some of them are 7. Then we got the little ones that are only 3 holes. How different.
Well, a stevedore is I guess in a very basic sense, he's the employer and the longshoremen are the employees. We hire the longshoremen to load the ship. We do the coordinating between the shipper or the elevators and the vessel itself, working with the chief mate and the captain on it. A ship is a teeter-totter, and basically all you're doing is putting a little grain here, a little bit of grain there. It's just a question of knowing how much to put in, where, and and the fact that the ships do bend and they do take stresses, so you've got to load in a certain sequence so that you're not damaging the vessel.
The shiploader's job in the gallery, he's running various equipment that splits grain off to the various spouts, one spout 1 through 5, and he's in charge of that equipment and the contact with the deck boss of the longshore on deck. The shiploader, though, that's a very important job. He's got the whole thing coming at you at 60,000 bushels an hour. On the scale floor, we have one person who is weighing the grain going on board ship, and that is his whole function. He's operating the scales. Even though they're full electronic and semi-automatic, it's up to him to make sure that the grain is properly weighed. The amount of grain weighed is then reaching the ship.
Right now I've got 192,000 bushels weighed to the ship, and you convert that to pounds. That's 11,520,000 pounds.
You sell a quality specification. This particular cargo here in the Oldendorf is a 3 hard amber. It could be a 2 hard amber. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. And one of the things we do at the Harbor States Elevator is we make quality separations on grain coming in. You've got a test weight specification, you've got moisture, you've got protein, you've got falling number, you've got deoxynivalenol, you've got hard amber counts, you've got damage, foreign materials, dockage, falling number, sedimentation. You've got many, many different factors involved, and we test for all these various things on the grain prior to it's unloaded and separated and bin it accordingly. This elevator, we have 625 bins in it. We normally run 4 belts, 3 legs, 2 scales, all at the same time, and it's a warehousing challenge to know where your quantity of your grain is, know what the quality is, and keep it all separate, and then combine it back together, and you might run 30, 40 bins on a mix at any one time. We had the Lake Ontario in and out, and one day we had the Federal Fraser in that took almost 26,000 tons out in a couple days. And now we're on the Oldendorf, and we've got the couple of ships coming in right behind us, so we've got to keep moving here. And 14,500 metric tons are on board right now. It's going to take 18.1, 18.2, so we're coming down to the home stretch, 3,600 to go.
We thought we will finish in about, let's say, 2 or 3 days. The problem was that the cargo was not ready. You see, the color of the cargo should be the same. Otherwise, they will not accept it in the next port of discharge.
The reputation of the port of Duluth-Superior has been a very good reputation of a fast turn in and out, especially at the Harvest States elevator. And this was one of these anomalies to the whole operation. We elected to put the ship on a little early, and we did not find that we had quite had the quality, and it laid around. Normally, a ship like this would be in and out of here in about 16 hours.
You have to be patient to wait for the cargo and everything. But like now, the weather is not so good, you know. And I think they are predicting rain this afternoon. That's why they did not take any break, the stevedores, because they like to finish the ship.
Yeah, let's get going on there as soon as we can. We need better than 50-50 back there. All right, I'll get him to open her up. All right.
Most stevedores are paid by the ton. So if you're not loading tonnage as fast as possible, you're not making any money. And so the name of the game is to keep it rolling, keep it moving, and be one step ahead and know that something is going to go wrong and be ready to adjust for it. Patience is a must. But on the other hand, you've got to have an extreme sense of urgency. You can't just say, well, I'll do that a little bit later. You've got to make moves, and you've got to make them right now. And so that sense of urgency is always with you, even though you may not show it. It's there, and it's boiling down inside.
When they get down, they'll use like say 1 and maybe 1 and 5 for trim. There'll be a guy up forward, one of the crew or some, and the stevedore will be down there, and then they'll about checking the after draft and the flimso mark on the midships and over there. Then they'll go back and forth. So many ton back there, and then so many ton up there. Then they'll talk for 15, 20 minutes. Another ton here and a couple ton there. They never can agree on what's going on.
4 inches, number 1 port.
4, okay. What we're doing is we're reading the draft, finding out according to the draft how much cargo is on board, and if I continue the way I'm going, what my draft is going to be in an hour from now, or do I have to make any adjustments? Do I change percentages? Do I leave it alone? Everybody wants to know, when are you going to be done? And is it going to rain? So yeah, you get a few of these variables that you throw in there.
Rocky, I'm going to get the lighter feet to the number 2. Lighter feet down 2.
We are not allowed to sail outside the open sea without a good stability. Ship might capsize, you know, the moment the cargo shifts. Because this is not full. You can see it will not be full. Number 1 and number 5 will be slack. So it will not be, you know, the more cargo you have, the better. If you have less cargo, the shifting moment is so much that it might capsize the ship, you know.
The only thing is we got to kind of keep it level. That's a requirement by the Canadian Coast Guard. Drain's got to be halfway decent level on the whole, you know, when they're not filling up. Say they're half full, they got to be kind of level.
Shutting number 2 off. 2 is off.
Some of these young kids don't know how to use a shovel. Do they, Boots? They go in like they got a teaspoon. You got to put your back to it. That's why we're in good shape.
Well, today we're unloading some limestone here. We have two types of limestone product. We have one out of calcite, Michigan, which is calcite stone, which is a type of limestone. And the other type is a dolomite stone out of Port Dolomite, Cedarville, Michigan. And we blend it here. We unload about a 50-50 mix is what we try for. And they use it to process taconite, or process the ore into taconite pellets up on the iron range here, Mentak. We have a conveyor system that runs underneath our holes here. We have hydraulic gates. We have a man, or in this case, two men down there. Manually operate them with the hand levers. And we have signal lights, which the mate can set by amperage as to how much a load to put on. Well, basically, make sure you don't get an overload, because if you get an overload, then you have spillage inside of our system, and then well, if you get a bad spill, you can be shut. You'll have to shut down till you can clear it. Here we're regulated by what the hopper can take. Under a normal situation, unloading onto an open pile, we can unload between 6,000 and 7,000 ton an hour. But here I think we're down to about maybe 3,000 or 3,500. This boat still has a classic steamboat style, you know, the pointed bow and a forward pilot house, as opposed to most of the newer ones that are built after the early 70s. They all have all the cabins are on the stern end. They have a round bow. They just don't have any, I don't believe they have any personality.
Security, security, security. WE 4805, Arthur M. Anderson, outbound Duluth Harbor, going out Duluth Piers. Okay, you can left some now, Tommy.
Left some.
First of all, you gotta start out slow, because you get the wheel will suck on the dock, and so you gotta run the engine slow and then increase as you go. My main job is to see that the ship runs smoothly. I may have to make all the docks and take it away from all the docks. I have to be around the pilot house in the rivers. It's my responsibility to take it through the locks and the two locks and back out of the locks. Okay, Tommy, you can start around to the left.
Start left.
We'll come on the bridge anchor.
On the bridge anchor.
Today coming out, we had that barker ahead of us, so you had we can go faster than he can, because we were light and he was loaded, you know.
Yeah, the barker's blocked. Yeah, block here. And what do you want to do? I got about 15 minutes. I'll be out at Piers. Yeah, I'm just over 3 miles from it now. Let's see. How about me? I don't check until I get a mile out, so it won't take me long to get in here, and I'll get up in the anchorage, and then if you want to, get down around Cargill somewhere, we'll pass you right there. Okay, there's two of us. There's Arthur M. Anderson right behind me. Yeah, I see him there. So yeah, we'll get her in there and get out of your guys' way and get up in the anchorage area, and we should be okay. Okay.
Then we ended up stopping off in Rice's Point there, because we had the Joseph Block coming in. So we waited for Block to get in, the Barker to get out. And they closed the bridge to kind of let the traffic through a little bit. Now you can start it around to the right there, Tommy, and I'll give you a little engine there. There's a current running through the piers there, so you have to watch it when you come around the traffic buoy because it can set you down and onto the shore in a hurry there at times.
Aerial bridge to the Henderson. We're on our way up now, Cap.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'll give it. You don't want to be going too fast coming around there either, because that current catches your bow. It won't let you come around to line up the piers. Okay, now you can come faster, Tom.
Come faster.
Yeah, we'll come down the center, Tom.
Down the center.
Right about after him should be good there,
Right
Tom.
about after him.
Yeah.
You get used to this already. I mean, you leave another port, you go to another port.
This is difficult anyway, it's difficult. Job is not very easy to sail, but job is interesting, nice.
Security. The Helena Oldendorf is singling up lines at Harbor State number 1 in Superior. We'll be backing away with 2 tugs and be going out Duluth piers. Security call, the Helena Oldendorf is singling up lines at Harbor State number 1. We'll be backing away with 2 tugs, the Kansas and the Vermont, and we'll be going out Duluth piers. Departing in about 15 minutes. The Helena Oldendorf checking in concern traffic.
Oh, okay, Randy. Okay, Randy. Start her back. Start her back easy. Okay. Right up on the bow and about 15 aft.
Well, last year I was 4.5 months and I got home for 1 day. I find that's the biggest thing. You gotta have your wife has to be pretty strong to put up with you, to put up with this kind of job.
You gotta like it. You're here all the time. If you don't, you might as well stay home.
Okay, Dean, she's just coming away on that stern and just easing back in a little bit forward there, George. Okay.
I started here on the waterfront in June of 1960, right out of high school, and I've been here ever since. It's been my life.
I found out you don't have Monday morning blues either when you have to go to work, because you've been most likely been busy Sunday anyway, even if you're at home, so there's no Monday morning blues, and I found that to be true.
Sir, good evening. I'm just coming by the Great Lakes slip here. I just wondering how she's looking for a lift.
Looking just fine. We'll be out your way in plenty of time.
You bet. We'll keep her coming then. Thanks for coming up.
You betcha, KM3.
So you do the best you can, and it's all on a handshake and a smile. And it's unusual in this day and age.